throw a ban towards?
Lucian.
No, it's Lucian
Wow.
and JackeyLove. Maybe sensing that Enchanter bottom lanes are a bit more powerful. Does 369 just take the Rumble take here, though? You also have Creme's Azir, if you want it.
Yeah, Creme's Azir has been sort of the only thing he's been really popping off with, and even then, in that BLG matchup, he had a couple of those streamer shuffles that just were whiffing quite wide. It is going to be locked in. You were correct to call that one out. I think it's very interesting that we don't have the Rumble or the Gwen banned right now, and that it wasn't B1'd. Those champions both are very easy to pick up early. If Flandre wants to go towards either of them right now, I would not be surprised.
And the Pantheon
priority is just not going away at any point. Despite the fact it has had a little bit of a nerf right now on this patch, it's still something that all of these teams seem to be wanting to go towards, and we saw it to great effect in the previous series. And Tarzan, he can do so much work with this champion. He knows how to really press the go in button constantly and find those great angles.
All right, Shanks. Let's learn from the school of Knight here, okay? I know it's been praised as the Knight tech, but Ziggs is a disgusting counter to Azir. You can never get mad at any lock-in. But I just want to shout that out. Like, Knight is amazing. Yeah. He makes the Ziggs look unstoppable, but it is a direct Azir counter.
Yes.
I want to see more of our mid laners play it. Won't be the case here for Shanks as he pairs up with the CC Tarzan brings and a whole lot of fire to this mid-jungle duo for AL.
So why we were so baffled in that first game where we end up seeing the Ziggs tech, because it was with the Azir being picked into it. This time around, you're not going to self-pick yourself a counter, but yeah, not moving towards what is the best counter available at the moment. Skarner being hovered here is interesting. It's something that's really been falling off in priority other than on a few specific junglers. Kanavi going to go towards this one. And there's the Rumble. I was expecting the Rumble to come through at some point. You have a lot of magic damage, though. You're going to be heavily reliant on JackeyLove for that AD if you do end up locking this one in. And
I think Flandre is the type of player that will lock the Galio. It's a weird spot, though, because like you pointed out, Gwen... Yeah, okay, so Gwen... You're leaving Gwen or Rumble up now. We get really into the nitty-gritty. Where is Flandre at? I really think you have to pick top lane here. So, do you want the Galio? Do you want to be a big AP counter? Or do you want to try and take the Rumble off the board? Because it's always in the back of your head, Bloxxer, with Fearless, that if I take the Rumble here, I also take it out of the series for good.
Yeah. It's no longer going to be available, and it is going to be the Rumble picked up. So, again, you've got plenty of magic damage available. Both of these teams heavily indexing into that. And now, bans can start coming on through, and I think we're going to see quite the pinch coming through right here onto these supports, right? These supports have been nerfed a little bit coming through, and we have not seen any of them picked up right now. I do wonder if you just want to take the standard stuff off of the board. The Nautilus can be taken away pretty easily by either of these teams, I think.
Renata ban, okay. So... Sensing that this is a team that's going to be running at top esports, want to get rid of that counter. Again, talking about how Enchanter's getting a bit more priority. I would like to see both teams focus mostly on support, or most are AL focus on support bans. You're not going to find a champion that JackeyLove's not going to feel comfortable playing into. Kai'Sa, interesting ban there out of Hope. For Hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting that it does seem like there's a lot of, hey, we want to run at you, which is the reason you ban the Renata away from your opponents, and we do want to run at you from TES with banning away that Kai'Sa too. See if that is actually going to be the case, because again, I don't know how much you do just want to be sprinting at your opponents right here as AL. If you run yourself straight into that Impale, all of a sudden you're just going to have the needlework come down straight over the top of you. You've also got yourself that Shurima Shuffle to push people away. So what the final ban is going to be, if the supports are actually going to be left quite open with those engaged supports not really being targeted so far, Corki going to be
just
the ban away right here. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Low range Hope champions, and he is going to slam his first Yunara game in the LPL.
Right.
So much damage behind AL. And like they've done so many times, though, they're going to leave Kael, the counter pick here, in a safe spot. JackeyLove, yeah, I love the Xayah here. The Featherstorm value is monstrous into an Annie. It's an immediate sort of stat check in saying, all right, you got to be really smart about dropping the Tibber stun. And whenever you see the Xayah come through, yeah, the Rakan makes sense. Where is Kael going to go here? There's a couple spots. He's one of the best Nikos in the world. Yeah. That's up and available, but you do need another tank.
they just go towards the Rel. I mean, the Rel does
Alright.
work well as a dive buddy alongside the Pantheon. Those two can pair up pretty well. Also, if you can grab people in the Magnet Storm and bring them in over the top of the Equalizer, that makes Flandre's life a hell of a lot easier. It's good for body blocking onto the Yanara as well. As in terms of the laning phase, it's actually not too weak, right? You usually do think that Zyra Khan can keep stepping up and poking people out, and if Hong is feeling really good and lands a lot of those grand entrances, that is true. At the same time, you have to be very careful, though, because the return fire can be quite strong out of this Yanara.
One of the big things that we saw in that series for TES and BLG, I think Bin was huge with his equalizer and equalizers in game 1, and really that's what wrecked TES. But we came into that series and game saying, all right, there was no real setup for a Rumble equalizer behind it. This game, so much different. I mean, Annie and especially Kael are going to put Flandre in a spot to use that equalizer to its most valuable position. But on the other side for TES, scaling solo lanes, Bloxxer, Azir and Gwen. AL are on a timer to make sure this game wraps up pretty quickly, in my opinion, but no team has been better at doing that in Split 2 than AL. The question now becomes, are they over that MSI hangover everyone's been talking about? No better way to find out than to get back on the Rift here. Game 1 for the first time between your Split 1 and Split 2 champions. And let me tell you, nobody, and I mean nobody, is going to be more excited about that than our home crowd here in the arena. Some of the loudest Jayos that you're going to hear all the way up until playoffs coming to your way.
Love it. Let's hear him. Let's hear him. Come on.
Okay, here we go. A little bit early. Okay.
Nice.
Darn, Bloxxer. I actually don't know who. I love to pick a winner.
That was close. That was close.
Really
I think
close.
the AL win that one for me just because their dude who's doing the shouting was a bit louder. I think he had a little bit more oomph behind him. I gotta be honest though, neither of these teams are beating out BLG right now. BLG's Gyos have been so loud. Their dude has been absolutely sending
he's been screaming his head off. Yeah, that's a great call. I'm glad that we're developing meta on the Gyos. That's an important development that we've seen across the year. Is guys, you can't just factor in the Gyos themselves. How loud and passionate is the guy signaling, guy or gal, signaling for the Gyos themselves as well?
Exactly. It's important. It's important.
Hard-hitting analysis you wanted, right?
Is really going for it. You're going to feel more confident to go for it too. Instant aggression here out of Kael.
Yeah, he's going for it himself. Gonna pop the exhaust on a JackeyLove. A barrier out of hope. He's got the lethal tempo stacked up and gets a couple of good licks into the Xayah. Should give them control of this bottom lane early as we get a read on these junglers. Not good for top esports. The Kanavi is gonna likely path away. But if anybody's gonna skip camps to help out a lane, it can be the Skarner.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is exactly what we were highlighting right during the draft phase. I just wasn't expecting it to happen quite so soon, that JackeyLove and Hong immediately getting poked down, and the fact that you lose the heal already, not going to be ideal. Still, you did get the barrier and the ignite out, so it's going to be a slight advantage in terms of these summoners, but you get what you wanted out of this play for AL. They get to push this wave through, JackeyLove having to farm up underneath the tower, should be able to pick up the majority of these minions. Yep. Only going to fall a little bit behind in terms of those, but it still just means the map pressure can keep up, and as you highlighted with where the junglers are at, with Tarzan heading down towards the bottom side of the map, you feel very confident as AL to keep this pressure up and just keep taking up space.
Both junglers pretty ult-reliant in their huge playmaking, but I do think that Kanavi gets more value with the, ability he can manipulate the terrain to try and look for these early ganks. Where those can come, still yet to be determined. Looks like 369 is able to get his first shove going on the top side. Also, exhaust TP. I think that's a really good combo of summoners into the Rumble.
Yeah, it should give you an even easier laning phase than the Gwen would already be able to have. Good pressure been going through. Again, because Kanavi's up towards the top side, you can keep that one up. Hong tries for a little bit of aggression once they take the level 3. Isn't quite going to be able to land it. Tarzan is now heading down towards the bottom. Yeah.
Not on a ward. JackeyLove, he's going to go to ward it. Oh, this is such an unfortunate face check. He's going to have to burn his cleanse immediately.
Yep.
But not the worst price to pay. That could have been a lot worse off for JackeyLove. He's frozen off his wave, though, too. So, again, just more intelligent plays from Tarzan, recognizing the wave state. It's really going to lock JackeyLove out of a lot of CS. Yeah, I was going to say, it's going to have to force him into a swap.
Exactly. He has to walk away from this situation. He's put them in, and I really like it. Yes, it's only the cleanse, but still, that's the cleanse down for a little while now. It's going to give you that extra bit of pressure as AL. AL going to recognize the fact the swap are coming through, but still just going to head straight back down towards the bottom side of the map. They're going to be more than happy with taking up the space down here. Tarzan heading up top side right now, potentially just to give Flandre a little bit of extra support, start his clear from top to bottom once again, and depending on when TES want to reset back down towards the bottom side of the map, if they wait long enough, Tarzan can just clear down towards the bottom side, end up at the Drake, and pick that one up to start the Drake stacking for his squad.
And now these swaps have come through, Bloxxer, gotta think you favor the spot that Flandre's in a bit more with the Rumble. I think he has a bit of an easier time farming in a 2 versus 1, and again, the main point I'll make, that wave state is so terrible that 369 is a bit caught out of position. The Ignite comes down, but Flandre also getting engaged up, but he's setting up for Tarzan. There's no cleanse on JackeyLove. Tarzan remembers and gets his top laner first blood. Tarzan everywhere on the map, but he's looking for more here, going after Hong, who has to dash over the wall. One of the best in the business when it comes to jungle, impacting this series already. But Kanavi also in those similar conversations. Going to get the Ixtal's Impact slam into the wall. Tarzan going to re-engage, though. More damage on AL's side, but more CC for TES with Hong here. But they're out of cooldowns.
Yep. Things are just going to fizzle out, and I love when we get to see the cleanse be taken away and then the immediate re-engage. Go find him again and make that work. It just is such an important thing to do. Don't just get the cleanse out and be happy with that. Keep pressuring it on forwards. Tarzan, like you said, so excellent at being able to do that. And the fact that you also see Flandre get given that kill, that's huge. You want this Rumble to get rolling as quickly as possible. The equalizer is going to be the thing that ties all of this CCAL have together.
Good look, replay, look back here. There were it always burns, yeah. It always hurts when there's signs, Bloxxer.
Yeah. And they still go in, right? I think even if you don't go in there, you put yourself in a pretty bad spot and you do likely die, if not at least have to still blow those summoner spells. But because you go in, there's absolutely no hope. You now can't knock anybody up.
Shanks, his soldiers sold him a little bit short there. He's trying to get the shove back into the turret. Tibbers does have to be expended. They're going after Flandre again. He's going to equalize her the wave. Knockup does land into the Blade Caller Slam. That was really well layered from Kanavi and TES. And the TP from Kael, of all people, just a little bit too late.
Yeah, and that means that Kael's now just sort of stuck up on the top side of the map. He can't even really step up to catch this wave properly. He won't be able to push it back at all. And so you've just sort of moved people out of the ideal positions. Hope going to come join up towards the top side. And actually, you know what? Kael stepping up far enough, stopping any plates from going over isn't going to be the end of the world. Gets to join up with his ADC, but he just needs to be careful to not keep stepping up because Kanavi is sprinting top.
Okay, he's trying to buy time, but Kanavi's there first, like you called out. Good Ixtal's Impact Slam again. A rare misstep from Kael.
Yeah. Odd, really odd for him to be stepping up so aggressively in that situation in which he knows he's got hope coming in, right? And it's a good thing to be able to stop the plate going over, maybe freeze a wave in a good spot for your ADC. All of that is good, but instead he's fighting them 2v2. And I don't even know if we don't see Kanavi arrive, if he still doesn't just die, right? He's taking so much damage to start that play off.
Silver lining, both kills go to Kanavi, so it's not a ton of scaling gold here to JackeyLove. He picks up 2 assists up against Hope, where you'd like to have him a bit more accelerated. And we saw, while all the top lane shenanigans were going down, that Tarzan picks up the first dragon all by himself there. Grub spawning in, well, now. So they're on to the Rift by this point, and we do finally have ultimates online for solo lanes and soon-to-be marksmen. So setup becomes key. How much of a priority are grubs for both of these comps? Definitely feel like it's bigger for TES with the Gwen on their side.
Absolutely, you would think so. And so, TES, they are going to bring a couple of members around. I'm going to quickly jump away from Kael. You can see every single time people begin to step up, Creme is immediately leaving his lane. He does not want to be second to any of these plays. Has been very happy to go roam around. And Flandre and 369 with the teleports can come up and join this fight. Tarzan was able to also get a base off now, so he's got a couple of extra things in inventory to try help out with this early skirmish. The early Pantheon damage can be huge, so you have to be very respectful of this as TES.
Tarzan recognizing he has vision on the pit and Grand Starfall access, so that's a really smart timer to take that reset that you called out. He goes from a longsword Ruby Crystal to a tunneler Caulfield's Warhammer. The sheer amount of damage he gets now is massive, as Creme has to be careful about stepping up on that mid wave. No tippers used by Shanks. He's not going to expend that clutch ultimate for just a dash, but again, AL smarter, understanding where they're at in wave states.
Yep.
They don't even need to fight, flash, ult, none of this, and they get the 3 grubs.
It's going to be nice and easy right here. You get 369 also able to shove another wave underneath the tower, blow the teleport out of Flandre, and 369, he doesn't necessarily need to teleport back now if he doesn't want to. You can have that as a TP advantage for yourself with the lane swap that should be coming on out. Bot laners, top laners, all heading back to their name roles. Things so far have been pretty nice out of AL. Yes, you grabbed a couple of kills from TES, but the second that it becomes about the map rotation, about the way to play the map, that's where AL have really popped off. That's what you were highlighting before the game, and so far we really have been able to see it.
One more epic monster slain, and they'll have that feat wrapped up in their hands. And when talking about when that'll be, Dragon in about 1 minute 30, what items will be online for both of these teams is becomes the real question here.
Yeah.
Don't think Shanks will be towards his first item. Maybe Creme gets to the Nashor's Tooth. Both ADs should have their first items. We already see the Heartsteel done for Kanavi. The Sundered Sky should be done for Tarzan after that. And Bloxxer, my question for you there is, which side do you think is stronger on those first item points?
I think on that first item breakpoint, that's the point at which AL are really going to be wanting to play this one out. It's not weak by any means out of TES, especially the Xayah going to be in a very strong spot. Shanks,
Exhaust.
Oh my god.
Oh, he drops Tibbers. The
stuns.
needlework. The shield, though, on the E is just enough for Shanks to survive the all-out.
Oh, hang on.
Oh, and Grand Starfall. Here comes Tarzan, hot and ready for another kill, and there's nothing 360 can do about it.
There we go. This is why giving the Pantheon over is still so risky. Yes, he received a little bit of a nerf, but it doesn't matter. Not when these players are so good at using that ulti, getting themselves involved in these fights, snap decision making. The fact that Shanks lives there as well is going to be so impactful. The Gwen needs to get a little bit of a lead early. Yes, she does more and more damage the later into the game. She doesn't fall off, but you want to be ahead of the curve so that you can just step up to whichever side lane you want, bully people off of the tower, and know that you're under no real threat unless multiple people have to come along.
Good replay, look back.
It just starts with early poke going on. Yeah, Tarzan's just sort of chilling mid lane, trying to protect his Yanara. The shield,
the shield,
literally just the shield. And it's not a big shield at this point in the game either. That's like a 60
One auto
HP
worth.
shield. Yeah, it's not that much. But Tarzan, the second that he arrives, 369, he knows that he's dead. It's not ideal. 369, I thought, had been having a really impressive first couple of games, right? The first 4 games that they end up... Sorry, 5 matches that they end up playing as TS, I thought were very impressive. But he looked worse versus BLG. Gets punished right there.
With Grand Starfall off the board, though, or if they know where Tarzan is, it does allow Kanavi first setup, and you're seeing it manifest here in the Drake pit. You're going to be able to pick up that first Mountain Drake and even out the win con of Drake stacking. Kanavi is going to be able to, well, I thought he was going to be able to steal a camp, but he's just looking for it. Maybe we'll threaten a dive onto 369. They got to go for it now, though, and doesn't look like they'll make the play there, even though Shanks has sufficiently chunked out the Gwen.
Yeah, unfortunately, the wave just disappears. Gwen, pretty good at being able to snip straight through those. Tarzan might potentially catch Hang, but JackeyLove is here. Instead, Tarzan just going to clear away this ward and walk away. So we see the Drakes going over, one apiece between these two. We've now got 2 minutes until we've got the Rift Herald up and available. And again, just like the Grubs, Rift Herald, again, something I think TS could really do with having. Cracking open this mid lane tower is going to be very important to them for unlocking Creme on these roams and making sure Shanks isn't able to follow them around anywhere near as easily.
Sundered Sky, Malignance, Blade of the Ruin King, all completed for the middle 3 of AL. Yep. Those are big, and most pointedly, all very effective first items. will say Creme's Gnasher's Tooth is big. ER on JackeyLove, again, at a big spot. But top side's where you're seeing the real gap come across here. And Flandre, the Rumble, it falls right in where you want with the power spike points. You talked a little bit about the Gwen. It's going to be a bit of time before the Gwen's effectiveness is online. Especially, and then this is where, with Rocket Belt, like Rumble is such a valuable champion.
Absolutely. The Rumble is already put in a good spot just through the composition. Lots of people to try to keep members on top of his equalizer, and then with the Rocket Belt you've got that extra level of movability, a little bit of extra survivability, and also just the damage going to be coming through very, very strong into the Riftmaker Gwen as well. So it means you can't step up to the Gwen. The Gwen will just rip your head off, but the Gwen in these actual big team fights won't be dealing anywhere near as much damage as the Gnasher's Tooth version. It's just extra survivability, which is interesting, right? I think you do kind of need it into this composition AL have for themselves. If you ever get jumped like this. Hang on, James.
Good Tipper Stun initially to make sure 369 can't step up. The exhaust goes on to Kanavi. They're really trying to get Shanks out, but he gets charmed up by the quickness, and the needlework should burn through his health bar. Kanavi picks up the kill despite the Magnet Storm from Kael. A little bit too late to try and save his mid laner. TES overload and punish AL.
And also JackeyLove comes up to the play, doesn't actually get involved in the fight, but means he can take over this wave. They keep on pushing forwards a little bit as well, making sure Kael is uncomfortable on the reset. Going to be missing out on a big wave in the top lane. Tarzan, Hope, they are stood looking potentially. Kanavi, he has no friends in the area other than Hang, no damage dealers.
Yeah, both JackeyLove and Creme do reset. Shanks back on the map, has teleport. Tipper's about halfway off cooldown at level 11. So AL are content, at least trying to jockey around. That's a catch out on the grand entrance from Tarzan. Hong a little bit hurt, a little bit bruised. Forces top esports out of the jungle. Tarzan gonna layer another stun, getting a lot of really solid chip damage in. And that seems to be just enough to get them the Rift Herald here with no contest from TES.
Yeah, I mean, if TS wants to step up, they're going to have to find a miracle engage to go for this one. And that's now going to be the Grubs and the Rift Herald going on over. If they can crack this mid lane turret, it's going to put them, again, in a very good spot, as we discussed earlier. If TES were able to grab it, same time, they can also just hold on to this one, wait until the next Drake is going to be spawning in a minute and a half, and use the usual play, chuck it down mid, use that little bit of extra time to go rotate over to the objective. I think that helps especially when you are sat over on the blue side, on the red side, because it can be a little bit harder to fully step up to the pit anyway. Chuck that one down, easy access.
But for now, TES do have more map pressure in their favor. Creme and 369 TP's up. Flandre and Shanks not the same. Flandre had a TP to cover a bot wave, and Shanks obviously has to TP back top after he gets picked off. So I'm really curious how AL approached this. There's two schools of thought with the Grand Starfall. I don't think Dragon is such a big priority where they have to, sack top wave to bring Shanks down, maybe a first brick given over. Instead, maybe just sack the Dragon Bloxxer and look to punish Creme if he's still up top side. As I say that, though, he is resetting. I might just walk up towards the river. So AL's play might just be to try and get first brick in exchange for our first Infernal Soul.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, right, with the one-apiece Drakes, is that you're under no real threat at this point. You can afford to give over one, maybe even two, before you need to actually start worrying. TES setting up a little bit of a death brush here. Kael is going to get caught by the knock-up, should just be able to walk this one out nice and easily. Tarzan arrives, chucks down the Rift Herald, and they are indeed going to go for this play.
Wow. Yeah, they're going to go for the classic. Shanks has TP'd, back to TP, coming back in to the fray as well in the mid lane, so should be a big 5v5 as Shelly crashes into the mid-tier 1 turret. Not taken down, though, and a lot of damage out of Creme with more than enough damage to chunk out Kael, who's hoping to find some healing anywhere. The CS have the first track here towards the pit, and AL, I don't know if you walk in here. I think they might just barrel down mid lane and trade this for a tier 1 turret.
Yeah, it is a very easy swap if you want to do that, and it's a much harder gambit to try to actually go for this steal over. Still, it's taking them a little while. They will be able to grab themselves this tower.
Kael. They don't have him marked over the wall. He pulls Creme into the equalizer. JackeyLove flashing back out to safety. Grand Starfall. They're all going in for Creme, but he slips out on the back end of this fight. Tarzan with the big wall up on the E will get blade collared, knocked up, slammed around by Kanavi. The impale may go wide, but Creme picks up the kill. 369 dies at the top side of the fight, and look at the HP bars of JackeyLove and Creme. There's no way for them to step up. Shanks finally gets the stun up and stuns them both through. Flandre gets out over the drink pit wall. Boom goes the dynamite. Ace to AL.
All of the carries managed to get away with that one for AL, and it's just such a well-played fight from them in the end. It's messy. It's so messy as TES go flying in, but 369 gets caught in the backline. Kanavi is stunned up for 16 years when he goes in. And the replay will tell us a lot more, because my eye was drawn to so many different places throughout that fight. I mean, there were fights on so many fronts. As you said, Kael had that little backline access piece, and this is what really kicks it off for AL. Creme immediately takes so much damage that he cannot afford to fight back into this one. But look at 369 right now. 369 is just off by himself. Maybe you could call it holding the carries away, but it doesn't really hold them for long enough. Shanks here, gorgeous. Boom. Nice, easy, double stun. I do like that Shanks goes for the person furthest away, Hope goes for the person closest, so they're able to just pick those kills up during the stun duration. And Flandre living is just the cherry on top of a gorgeous fight.
The 369 call-out was great, Bloxxer, because it's the difference between a scaling top laner at 19 minutes and a team fight top laner at 20 minutes. If that Gwen is 3 items deep, 369 wins the game right there. But it's just, they're just not at that point, and it's because AL is just so on point, understanding when they are powerful, when they're most in position, and got to give the glaze to Kael. There's no other supports that are seeing little pockets, flank angles like he did.
It was gorgeous. It was such a nice little bit of engage. And you can imagine that going on in any of these next team fights where you've got 2 items, 3 items completed on Flandre, and maybe he lands it onto a couple more members. It isn't just going to be Creme that gets caught out. I mean, such a nice play out of AL. Bottom lane, though, TES. They do still have 369 fight. Yeah, I mean, he's strong in the 1v1, maybe a 1v2. In these 5v5s, though, yeah, he's just not hit that point.
Neither can cancel a TP if it comes out quickly, but 369 has to answer the way first. They should both be able to TP in for this Octocon. As we get a picture-in-picture replay on classic top lane ultimate chicken. But looking at the items, 2 items on Yunara, 2 items on this Annie. TS no vision on Octocon. There's going to have to be a real creative engage to punish the power discrepancy right now that AL are in control of, but seeing the TP from 369, AL are getting a little bit wary. They always want to set up these big flanks, and Flandre is in position to do so, but he doesn't have the equalizer, and Hong grants that he's a little bit out of position. He goes on to Kanavi instead, throws up the big E shield to block all the damage from JackeyLove, but the impale is masterful from Tarzan, picked off by Kanavi, and Flandre falls next. Both junglers making their statements in this first game.
Absolutely, Kanavi with that double impale is going to lock this one up. Without a jungler, it's going to be really hard to try to force TS off of this. Still, they want to go for
it. Gets the crash down into the Magnet Storm with the Tipper stun. Kanavi's still alive, though. Hope is going to flash after him to find the kill, but gets knocked up. The equalizer value not there. It's just Shanks left up. He's going to trade Creme, but that's not a problem for top esports.
Such an odd engage right there out of AL. They really didn't want to give up the Atacam, but didn't decide to play this one slowly, poke members out instead. Everybody goes flying in, and it just does not work out. Hope does a lot of damage at this point with the 2 items completed, but not that much. We'll have a look at the replay again, because that was such odd decision making, and that's not usually what we've said about AL, until, of course, the start of this split, where they just haven't been feeling like themselves. Well, look back at this moment. Hang on, picture-in-picture as well. Top players.
I think that Tarzan should be able to get this kill on the 369. Oh my god. The spear dodged out. And Tarzan throwing everything to not get that kill onto the Gwen. Now we can focus back on this engage.
Why like this? Why like this? Because he doesn't really have anything to land onto lots of people. Like, he goes for the Magnet Storm, and I do get it. but Hope just isn't able to sit far enough back. He needed his rel in front of him to buy him space, to buy him time. Instead, everybody goes flying in, and Hope just kind of has to hope and pray that the follow-up works well enough.
So the ramifications of that top lane, though, is that Tarzan is down Flash and Ultimate now, as this Infernal Drake is still on the Rift. This is not the fourth one. This is the third one that has been largely ignored for the Otacon. And now you've got a pretty tanky Kanavi with this Skarner. You got 369 with the Nashor's done. This Gwen is now a problem. You're seeing it in that replay. Hell, they're in a much worse spot off than the last 3 minutes, but
yeah,
try and cleanse those ailments by picking off Hung. Just jumps right back towards his team, and the Dragon goes down. TES picked that one up. Kanavi not going to look for a fight start here. No reason to venture too far into the enemy jungle.
This is what I wanted when I was looking at these two teams. I wanted this to be a close, bloody matchup where we get a lot of fighting back and forth, and so far so good. I really couldn't tell you who was going to be able to win this one out, as everybody's got 1 tower apiece, relatively even in gold as well. There's 100 gold advantage right here for TES. They'll be able to expand this in a second. This tower should be falling right here to Creme. That's going to be a little bit of extra gold into their back pockets, and with the slight advantage of 1 extra Drake, you could mildly give it over to TES, but I don't know. This one's super close so far.
The advantage for TES is that off of that Otacon play, they've bought their scaling lane so much more time.
Yeah.
There's not going to be much more. Like, Baron's coming up here, but I don't think either team is in a great position to just burn it and threaten it with how close the game is. So you're just giving 369 more time on this top side to maybe just set a trap here onto Flandre. Flash out, he's trying to run away from the needlework, but Hong and Kanavi are in hot pursuit. Kael's going to tank up the first Ixtal's impact, but Flandre is down. The Equalizer gets 0 value. And I might have misspoke here, Bloxxer. That one pick onto Flandre, and now I think TES have all of the reason in the world to go after the Purple Worm.
Oh, very deep TP flank coming in.
Holy
right
Shanks.
Here from Shanks. Potentially just wants to go for this one. He's not going to be sneaking up. They're going to be well aware that they have got an Annie on the bottom side of this map.
They don't know where.
Creme? Wait, Creme?
Yeah, and
Why
Creme
would you
has
walk
to
like
find
that,
out.
Creme?
They don't know where Shanks is exactly. They're lucky that Shanks doesn't have enough damage to just delete Creme. But with the full Annie combo,
Okay.
Shanks has stopped the Baron take 4v5.
I still don't think Creme's the member you want to be going for that play right there. Now a bit of a fight over the blue buff is going to be picked up by Kanavi. And the Baron play does get stopped. About 1,000 gold lead now for TES.
Oh, another TP flank.
Do what he can to stop this one. He needs to run.
He runs back towards his team, though. They're dumping everything onto Kanavi. They're also TPing Flandre back in with 369. Is he strong enough? Kael gets the double Magnet Storm onto JackeyLove, forces out the Feather Storm. They're going all in for JackeyLove, and Tarzan picks up the kill. 369's flank is only going after Flandre, who goes into the stasis perfectly. Now the rest of AL can step back up with their Yunara to bring home the fight. No one left for TES to climb back in this one.
Now it's just going to be 369 limping away at the end of this one. Kanavi is up, but he's just heading towards the bottom side of the map. That's going to be Baron right here for AL, and it's another big, messy team fight. But Hope also picks up that tier 2 tower before he turns tail. That's just going to help them out in trying to end this game. I like this from TES. Just push through the mid wave, get yourself this tower potentially, and also just make it harder for the siege to come through from AL because they will have Baron buff.
And they won't hold it for Flandre, so they'll have it on 4 members. Big gold injection, and you're going to see it manifest after we come out of this replay.
Nice.
We've got...
Yeah.
It's just
feels
Kael again.
So rough because Kael finds this big play. I was questioning what he was doing around the Atacant, and I do think that was not ideal, but in this situation where you actually have all of your members up and available and alive, it's huge from him, and the fact that he lives here as well is massive. Flandre falling, unfortunate. It kind of delays how quickly they're actually able to pick themselves up the Baron, but that's really the only big issue with that one there. Still, kills now, dead even. Gold advantage 2k to AL. It's been going back and forth between the two teams quite rapidly recently. What can they do with this Baron buff, though?
Look at the items. This is what I wanted to point out with the Baron. Zonya's gets locked in for Shanks, so you now have double stasis on your solo lanes, and the biggest one, IE through for Hope. We've had some, we have some issues with Yunara and her safety for a champion that's so about dropping consistent damage in a team fight. But if you haven't seen it yet, folks, the damage at this point in the game on this champion is disgusting.
Yeah.
Not going to see it here, though. Top lane tier 2 turret going to go down there. TES doing a good job indexing away from the Baron push because there were a couple far outer turrets the AL did need to clean up, mainly being that bot tier 1.
Yeah, you can see Shanks try to push forwards right here with his Baron buff, but gonna have to back off. Doesn't know where enough of the members are. Doesn't have enough vision to really be feeling comfortable. And now he spots out the fact that, yep, Kanavi was on his way to potentially kill him. Not ideal when you end up losing out a tower with this Baron buff. It hasn't actually been a big gainer of gold. Kael goes in again.
But he gets caught by Kanavi, gets thrown against the wall, the Impale. They're using a lot just onto the AL support, and Kael will happily gobble them up. Kanavi is down, and Hog is pushed out of the fight as the stun lands on a JackeyLove. Shanks' flank comes across, the Feather Storm won't save him, and boom, the Golden comes out. 369 may run towards the backline, trade out Hope, but I don't think he's got enough to clean up the rest of these kills. No, he doesn't. Tarzan stuns him down, and Creme and Hog way too low to step up to compete for this 4th dragon.
He called out perfectly right. They blow everything on to trying to kill Kael. They don't even manage to pick up the kill, and it's just not enough for 369 able to get into the backline. He hasn't been able to build himself a super aggressive build right here. He's got himself the Rift Maker and the Zhonya's. Yes, that helps you in these fights, but it doesn't allow you to do that full damage. Yeah. Kael, he's just way too tanky at this point in the game. The equalizer is also miserable. It means that JackeyLove isn't able to step up and do the damage he needs to, and Shanks over the wall every single time just is able to deal everything that he needs to. He dies for this, I think, but it's really not the end of the world. He wins this fight for the team.
Such an amazing sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
JackeyLove will have Cleanse and Flash back up. Shanks is not. Tarzan is not. So I think that's going to stall out a ton of that threat that JackeyLove's been under, but it has left a lot of scars, Bloxxer. JackeyLove is 0-4 on this Xayah, and I believe even a lot more gold behind versus Hope. Yeah, 2.5K between our AD carries right now. That's all the gold lead.
And it's really unfortunate to see, right? Because coming into the BLG series, I've been looking at JackeyLove as one of the best players that we had in the league at the moment. He was absolutely on a tear. He'd been looking brilliant. There was, the beginning murmurs of, JackeyLove being back. And then, all of a sudden, BLG kind of dismantled him. He's not able to play. Elk looks a lot better than he does. And so far in this game, Hope has been able to be way more effective on a champion that he has got infinitely less time practicing at this point, right? This is a pretty new champion. Came out, 3 weeks ago or so? And the fact that Hope is able to play it like this is just so fun to see.
That's an important point to make because, the immediate reaction to what you said, Bloxxer, is, yes, not stage games, but he's surely had a lot of scrim time and, more importantly, solo queue time. Remember, AL got into the split late. Compared to the other ADs, I don't really know how much solo queue and scrim time he's had compared to, maybe Leave that we saw play it last time. Nonetheless, it still is enough for him to feel confident playing it against top esports of all things, and, well, hasn't really disappointed yet.
If this is how he's going to start out his Yunara career, then I'm pretty worried about other teams facing him. So far, so good, and he hasn't gone towards the slightly more defensive build, right? He hasn't decided he needs a Bloodthirster or he needs himself a shield bow. He's going aggressive right now, and I don't really see him moving away from that. It might be a move on towards something like the GA at this point, just to give you that little bit of extra safety and damage alongside. Still, Baron going to be up and available right here. I also do love that we've gone back to the old graphics package, the base one.
I was about to say, I was going to ask our production team. I think, I've seen it happen. Tier 3 tourneys in NA, and hey, even the LPL can't survive a little bit of an overlay bork. Yeah.
Yeah, always funny to see. I was looking at the gold gap between the ADCs, and then it disappears. Like, oh.
Poof. It's gone.
Okay, never you mind then. This is a throwback, I quite like it. And it still gives us the key information, which is the fact that Baron, 30 seconds away, big item break points have come through already for AL, but are now coming through right here for TES. Creme has now completed himself that death cap. He's going to deal so much damage. He needs to land it, though. He's, in the previous fight, just wasn't able to sit and hit and missed quite a big ulti. Needed it to do a little bit of extra work. So can he find it in this upcoming fight?
Both these teams are very team fight loaded, but the difference, the longer a fight goes, the better it is for Top Esports. AL are very burst reliant. Outside of Hope, who it still is pretty burst on Yunara, but it's a Pantheon, it's an Annie, it's a Rumble. Like, they need to kill somebody quick, because letting JackeyLove stack lethal tempo, letting 369 run amok, Creme, like you called out, that is a problem. TES are actually the ones to start this Baron up, and they do it very, very quickly. Tarzan is going to go away from the Baron originally, but Hong is actually baiting them. Tarzan flashes in, does not get the steal. Impale goes down onto Tarzan. He's able to block a lot of the damage, re-engage on top of Creme. Emperor's Divide trying back away, but the Equalizer, Creme's trapped on. He has to flash out of it. The Flandre with the all out does not find the kill. It's a huge Feather Storm paired with the needlework from JackeyLove and 369 to wipe the floor with AL, and Tarzan's going to die. It's the ace coming through, a knockout blow thrown by your Split 1 champion.
There you go, AL. They felt like they were in control of this game, but all of a sudden, TS, they snap back. And with the 40-second death timers on a couple of the members right here for AL, this is going to be the victory for TS. You can see pushing their way straight through the mid lane. Teleport going to be coming back in as well. Extra damage in the pocket of 369. The fight, it's back and forth, and all of a sudden, TES, they call game.
It was back and forth. AL had Baron. They had so much control. But one final fight, one fight with your scaling solo lanes decides it all. TES up 1-0.
It's a shame that we're not going to get a replay of that last fight, because in that fight, Rakan gaming right there. That was absolutely gorgeous in that fight. From Hong, he just finds the angle of all time and manages to run across multiple members with the ulti up, then finds that ground entrance, and the second that he does that, boom, the fight is immediately won for his team without that bit of engage. That fight was pretty messy. It certainly wouldn't have ended the game right there. We would have still got more League of Legends in front of us. And now, Top Esports, I mean, it's rough, right? It isn't clean, it isn't easy, but they're able to pull through.
Yeah, and they rely on something that's been, I don't want to call it a crutch. I think it's what is the staple of Top Esports, which is if they can get late enough in a game, I feel like they're the hardest team to team fight against, and part of that, yes, was the draft in this one, right? Like, you're not going to see a lot of games in the LPL where one team gets Gwen and Azir on their team, but it's the way that they pilot these champions, and especially JackeyLove. If it's a game gets, I would be curious to find the stats on it, like post 30, 35-minute games with JackeyLove is in it, how many times have TES come out on top of those like post 35-minute bangers?
It's got to be a million times at this point, and specifically here in this split, it's been happening time and time again. Maybe you can criticize the fact that Top Esports aren't just ripping the heads off of their opponents and ending the games really quickly, but hey, if it works, it works, and JackeyLove, it's so nice to see him find that massive fight right at the end of the game, because he wasn't able to play up against BLG. BLG completely dismantled him, and it really looked like he was having to go back to square one and just try to do anything in this. Whereas in this situation, up against an AL team that were looking better, that were looking like maybe they could be back, he's really able to step up, and I love it for Top Esports that their bot lane are the ones who are able to carry them through that last fight.
Yeah, because when TS were sprinted out to the 5-0 start, there was a lot of valid praise going over to Hong, because he really got the best out of JackeyLove. And, you know, Bloxxer, we will get a replay of that last fight in the post-game, and I'm interested to see what you're talking about, because what I saw from Hong at the start was he actually pulled all of AL's attention onto him. When are we as the LPL going to learn that you should never be chasing a Rakan? It's like
Rakan, bro.
You can't catch him. It's so hard to catch him.
Especially
and if you
when
do,
there's a Xayah in the game. He's out of there.
And then when you do, it's probably not worth dumping what you've dumped into that Rakan.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like both of these teams did commit that cardinal sin today, where they looked at either Kael or Hong and went, oh, I can kill that guy, and even if they did manage to get the kill in the end, dumping all of the damage into the support, never going to really help you out that much. So have a look back right here at this replay set, and yeah, it's super back and forth. This is exactly what I wanted from this series, right? Was that both of these teams going toe-to-toe. It felt like at all of the different points throughout the entire game, it was like, yes, one team's going to win. Wait, no, the other guys are going to win. Back and forth. Everybody had a pop-off performance at some point. This one was weird from Kael. I still don't really understand why they
Yeah.
don't slow play this one.
There's definitely still some growing pains getting adjusted back to the LPL gauntlet for AL. And while that is fair to say, it's still valid scrutiny. This was a classic AL fight. This one was the one that I was really proud of. It's, you know, you such a pressurized spot knowing that, hey, there's a Gwen flanking us. There's a Gwen flanking my AD on mid lane to know, all right, then we just kill them before the Gwen gets here. That's what made AL Split 2 champions in my mind. But, yeah, I just want to see this Baron fight back out. Because TS winning a fight that hard, I felt like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it felt like every single previous fight had been way closer. I get the feeling that we didn't see a big Magnet Storm out of Kael, or we didn't see the Magnet Storm. Maybe he died a little bit too quickly. I don't remember everybody getting pulled in on top of an equalizer or anything, so that might have been part of what ended up going wrong, but I'm loving watching these fights back because they're so messy. This is a huge win for AL, the fact they're able to pick this one up. That's crazy,
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
They've got Baron with them now. All right, here, we'll see it. So Tarzan can't get the steal, gets pulled. Yeah, they just create enough space. Remember, it's burst, and this fight goes on a while. And, oh, man, finally the Needlework and Featherstorm. It really all comes together.
All comes through at the exact same moment. Hong manages to get the exact knock-up that he needs to just stop that bit of engage coming through. And then, hey, from there, everybody's charmed up, moved around on the map. It all works for them all at the same time, I think is the most exciting thing about that fight. And that's why it just ends the game. Snap your fingers, now we're in the post-game. Crazy matchup between these two, and I really do hope that you are correct and that we get 3 games between these teams because, oh my, that was so much fun.
Yeah, it was a blast. What wasn't a blast was, I believe, I'm going on a little bit of a limb here, I think the entirety of the awesome LPL graphics and the team behind, like something on the graphics thing borked, and it also ends up borking the post-game breakdown. I don't know if some of you probably caught it. We didn't get any gold graphs, any damage charts,
I was so excited for it
percentages.
because that was going to be a roller coaster.
Yeah, it definitely was. You know what we still will end up getting here, Bloxxer? A player of the game. And I wonder where the voters are feeling it. I don't think it's Shanks. I don't think it's 369. It's got to be one of the facilitating pieces. I think it should be Kanavi or Hong.
Oh, it's tough. It's really tough. I couldn't...
70% towards Creme. Maybe I just don't. Maybe I can't read Blair the games anymore.
Yeah, okay.
Or I know. Is we really thinking Creme here?
I wouldn't, in good conscience, give it to Creme in this game. Like, he found a couple Empress Divides that were fine, but he never had that game-defining moment. He didn't really seem like he was able to step up in a lot of these fights and pull it through. Yes, in the last fight it's good, but in the last fight it's good from everybody. I feel like I'd personally be giving it towards Kanavi here. Okay,
yeah. I mean, Kanavi gets the early lead, and more importantly, he gets like the early kills, and it's hard for sometimes you see tank junglers not utilize it correctly. He gets the heart steal early, unlike that Aki Sejuani, like he stacks it up rapidly, and he's just super health. He's like super health bound, and that makes it harder for AL. Again, a burst centric comp to bring it home. I think Kanavi's a good shout. We'll see if he ends up getting rewarded as our Split 2 MVP for a main reason, because he gobbled up player of the games in the Rumble stage of Split 2. But, Bloxxer, now we are going to get set up for the classic paradox with top esports if we're talking about bucking trends from Split 2. They were the Game 3 merchants because they would usually win Game 1 super fast and then lose Game 2.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that a little bit more, though. I hear the sound. Oh, they give it 369.
Interesting. Okay. I'm not mad about that either, right? I don't think he had the level of Gwen performance that I would expect from 369, but he was still a key part of this game. He was able to find himself a good amount of just damage laid down. He had dealt 30% of the team's damage. Obviously, we missed out on these bits of stats, so that's nice to be able to learn here. But also with the Riftmaker, he was just able to be an annoyance in the backline a lot. It was an odd game. It was super back and forth, hard to pick out one specific MVP.
But it's an MVP from all of top esports because they get Game 1 over the team defending the crown in the LPL right now. Anyone's Legend still a little bit slow, sluggish, stuck in their ways. They dropped Game 1 where they could have very well come out on top of, but they have a chance to run it back, reverse sweep style in this best of 3. We'll see if they could do that on the other side of the break and hear from one of our amazing sponsors. All that and more Coming to you soon.